you want to make sure just like nothing's going to get in the way of that top fan. Nothing's going to obscure or bump into those fans when they turn on. Either the back one or the top one. What's up, Red?
Red, nice to see you. How many RGB does your computer have? Everyone knows that RGB makes your computer faster. Maple?
He's not wrong. You don't know the answer to this?
No.
No?
What is an RGB?
RGB.
Hang on. Is it something gigabytes?
No. Red, don't tell her. Don't type it. Don't tell her. Look at the. Do you know the hint he gave you? Did you see the hint in chat he gave you?
It's that painter dude.
It's Bob Ross. He's a painter. It's colors, right? A painter messes with colors. And the first color you said was red. So what do you think RGB is?
Got you. Okay. Red, green, blue.
Yes. So when people say RGB, they're asking you, does your shit light up like the rainbow? That already looks so much cleaner, so that's great. So that cable that you got hanging right in the frame of the picture right now, that's the next one we're going to hook up to the graphics card. So let's get the graphics card ready. Like I was saying to you, grab it from the metal, ground yourself, grab it from the metal bracket on the front. And you're going to basically do it the same way you did the memory. It's going to slide into that first slot that's right below the cooler, the CPU cooler, the one that's like gray, the metal piece, the very bottom of that metal piece, into the bottom of the case first, between the bottom of the case and the motherboard. You want to get all those ports out of the back of the computer first to get it as far forward as you can, then drop it straight down into the slot. And then you're going to want to just situate one screw to hold it in once you got it in the slot, because letting go of that card is not a good thing to do when it's not screwed in. That looks like it's lined up pretty proper.
Hard aim.
Yeah, no. Okay, so you're trying to put the prongs out the back of the case. That's the mistake. Okay, I didn't see what you were doing from the back. Kody just showed me with the camera. You have to put them inside the case, down towards the bottom. They stay inside the case. They slide all the way down.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. I
Yeah.
didn't anything.
The screws at the top, it'll look like they won't line up right away, but get the slot in first and then worry about the screws first. So that slot, it'll slide right down. It'll almost clip in, basically. Now that you got the graphics card in place and it's dropped down, you're going to drop that guillotine bracket back down in the back and tighten up those screws. So you're going to stand the case back up, and we're going to get that cage. That cable that you got hanging in the front, that's your graphics card cable. You're going to take that and plug it into the top corner of the graphics card, the 6 pins.
The end of it, because both ends look the same.
Use the first one, not the very last one. The two just hang off. If you wanted to zip tie them back to the wire, you could do that, but you know, they could just sit there. Boom. So now, like I said, you can do what you want. If you want to take that extra connector that's just hanging there, you can zip tie it to the rest of the wire to try to keep things organized, however you want to do it. Now the power and the data to the hard drive, and then we can plug it into the case. So you're going to turn the case around, get that hard drive cage, and we'll hook up those two cables first. So just make sure those two are tight, nice and tight. Just push down on both of the ends of them firmly, and then they'll be even. And then you're going to just situate it back in the case and screw it back in from the bottom. So both of the cables are blocking you, not just one of them.
Yeah.
Okay, so then let's do the easier thing then. Let's just take the hard drive screws out, move it into the top slot instead of the bottom slot. So basically what happened was Poofy was trying to put the hard drive enclosure into the case, guys, and because of the wire on the power on the back of the hard drive. SATA hard drives have two connectors to go to the back to them, much like the traditional hard drives. And one of them is a data cable, which is small, and the other one is a power cable, which is about 2/3 the size of, or about 2 to 3 times bigger than that. And this is what she's trying to do. Basically, she's trying to hook up both of these connectors. The problem is the connectors she has are on a 90-degree angle. They come to a curve, and so they're blocked by the bottom of the case. So what she's doing is moving the hard drive inside the enclosure up one level so that it won't interfere with the bottom of the case anymore. You should start going through the wiring and check every connection one by one. And just go to each thing that's connected, the hard drive, and push down on it. The connectors to the motherboard, push down on them. Everything. And you're just going to do that once over on everything. And just make sure that they're all connected. The fan connectors, everything.
Okay.
Alright, great. So we're at a point now where we're ready for our first power on. So what you want to do though is you want to have a monitor ready, a keyboard ready, and a mouse ready. The power supply there's a switch on it that says 0 and 1. You want to turn it to 1 to enable the power on it. Alright, so now look at the side of the case and let's see if we get any lights. We want to see some of the fans spin and everything when you press the power button. Poofy, are you ready to do the honors? You're going to press the power button, and then hopefully things should turn on. And then what we're going to do is wait for something. First of all, the screen, it's probably in standby mode, so you're probably going to have to keep tapping the delete key, because the screen might not come up right away. So just keep tapping the delete key after you press the power on, okay?
Alright. 1, 2, 3. Oh my god, it's so awesome. I just lit up.
Alright. Oop, I see fan spin, I see lights.
It's live.
Alright.
Thanks for tuning in, man. I see that you were keeping up a little bit ago.
We're in BIOS.
First game in PC.
So the first thing is the date and time. So that looks like it's 1 hour ahead, right? I want to make sure that all those fans are spinning, first of all. The back one looks fine, but what about the top one? And the one on the CPU is spinning as well, it looks like from here. The cooler block. Yep. And the graphics card may or may not be spinning yet, because usually it has to heat up for it to spin. So is it spinning or no, the graphics card? The 2 fans on the bottom.
It's not spinning yet.
Yeah, okay. So it'll heat up and then it'll spin up. Sometimes, believe it or not, you could be in Windows and that thing won't even spin. Sometimes you have to get into a game for it to spin up. So the power management on that's really good.
Is this it? Like, this is it besides the software?
Baby, you're done. You built a computer. What do you want me to tell you? You did it.
That is awesome.
So now we
And
just
it was
gotta.
so much easier than I thought it would be.
That's what I mean. They've made it a lot easier over the years. Trust me. So the process now is very straightforward.
BIOS version E.
Yep.
Okay. E as in Edward.
Yep.
7B.
Mm-hmm.
48 INS.
Yep.
Point, like a dot, a period, you know.
Yep. Yep.
And then 260.
2.6. So we're at 2.6. So this motherboard's at July 2018. So we are 2 updates behind. These 2, microcode and the memory, are pretty important though. So we're probably going to update to this, even though it's not 100% critical that we have to. You have to go onto another computer, and you're going to have to go get the BIOS update. So it's going to be a 2-step process. We're going to do the BIOS first, and then we're going to do the Windows after. All right, there you go. So it's opening. So go to File Explorer and press OK. You want to put the USB stick into this computer, and make sure that the USB stick is empty. There's nothing on it. And then you're going to go into the file that says BIOS put on USB drive. That's the only thing that has to go on that USB stick, is that one file in that one folder.
We don't have to do a BIOS and Windows.
Windows is going to do after. She still has to download Windows. It's 12 gigs. It's going to take like 20 minutes. And when she was downloading that file, the stream was cutting out. So that they have like the utility, right? Yeah, December. That's the latest one. It should be version 28, I believe.
Oh, I thought this was reading the file. Okay.
Yeah.
BIOS is updating.
Yep. So whatever you do, don't sneeze, don't kick over a power cord. This is the part where you could turn $800 into a brick. Well, not really $800, really just a motherboard. So guys, for anybody who's curious, what Kody did was he basically got the file that I gave him with the BIOS update, plugged it directly into the computer with the USB, put that file on the USB drive on his own computer, and then took the USB drive, plugged it into Poofie's, and now there's a utility in the BIOS that reads that file, and that's what you're seeing on the screen right now. BIOS is updating, so it's applying the update with the latest code changes and stuff like that to the motherboard. And this gets burned into the motherboard, so even if the battery goes out in the motherboard, once you replace the battery, it's still going to be at that version 28. Go back to Kody's computer and probably start downloading that file. If you want to install Windows tonight and get that going, we should do that now. You have to get this other utility in order to put the Windows onto the USB drive. It's a program called Rufus USB. So we're going to go clear a quick tutorial of what Poofie's going to be doing next on her computer. Get our USB drive, which you can actually see here. This is my USB drive. It's actually formatted already as a Windows disk. What I'm going to use is a program called Rufus USB. So you scroll down the page, there's a download button here for version 3.4. You're going to open it up. It's going to run as administrator. And you get this little pop-up here. It's going to ask you what drive do you want to reformat. So by default, I'm going to choose my USB drive. This is it right here. And it's going to say, do you want to use an image or something else? In this case, I'm going to use an image. So I'm going to press select to go find my image. And here's the ISO. This is the Windows image we're going to be using. So if I select this, It's going to load it up. It's going to get all the details. Here's the name of it. So it's ready. You just press start. And so it's going to say, are you sure if you do this, you're going to wipe out all the information on that disk? Anything that's on that H drive, on that USB drive is going to be wiped out. Are you sure? So I'm going to press OK. And it's going to take about maybe like 5-10 minutes to run this. But basically what it's doing is it's taking that image and it's writing it to that USB drive. And so once this is done, I now have a bootable Windows 10 USB drive that I can put into any computer, and if I needed to, I can install Windows on that computer. Okay. Alright, good. So it's doing its thing. Alright, so it's halfway. You see these icons right here, across the top here? Mm-hmm. Those are all like your boot devices, your CD-ROM, your USB drive, your hard drive, and all he did was click and dragged one to like, it's like, which one do you want me to try to turn on first? Like, which one do you want me to try to load from first? Oh, there's the advanced up top at F7. Okay. So let's see if he ever goes into advanced. Okay, hardware settings. Okay, so press that settings in the top left there, that button on the left-hand side.
System status?
Yeah, okay. You want to just expand those one by one and we'll go through them real quick? Yeah, so go to it and press enter on the date or on the time, and I think it'll let you change it. The 8192, I see. Why is it? Oh, 8 gigs. We didn't get 16. We got 8 gigs. That's right. I forgot. PCI subsystem settings, ACPI, integrated peripherals, integrated graphics configure. We're going to have to go through most of these one by one. Let's start with PCI subsystem. Link speed, latency timer. Okay, that's all normal. So we can go back and do the next one. Power LED, blinking, GPU over temperature alert, auto. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so this is where we have the individual stuff on the motherboard. So let's see if there's anything here we don't care about. You got HD audio. We definitely want that enabled.
Intel Thunderbolt.
We can skip that. Serial, parallel. So click on those and see if there's any option to disable those at all when you click on them. The serial port is a very old port. It was used before Windows 95, before Windows had plug and play with USB 1.0. Like, it's very old. There's still old devices that use it, like Palm Pilots and things like that, and some old like government devices and things like that. So most computers still have it on by default, but if you want to save on IRQ, which is resources, like that the motherboard can have, how many things it can have running on the motherboard at one time, a good thing to do is to turn off the serial port, because you're most likely never going to use it. Same thing with parallel port. Parallel port used to be the old printer port. It was an old big fat printer cable. It looked like a USB VGA cable, but fatter. And they got rid of those too, so you could turn that off probably too if it's enabled. Restore power, that's power off, that's good. So that means if the power goes out, the computer's going to leave itself off. It's not going to turn itself back on. That's up to you if you want to do that or not. So preferably, it's best that you turn it off, because then you know if you left your computer on, it's off, you had a power outage, you know what I mean? You want to look for a menu at the top or somewhere for exit or restart, and there's going to be like save configuration changes. Before we do that, you want to take the USB that is hopefully done at this point out of the computer, put it into the back of your computer, and then you're going to restart and save changes.